Well, thank you for joining me in this series of Batter Up, How to Come to Bat Without Striking Out. Currently, we're talking about 10 things which define a great and godly leader. We've talked about several things. The first one was simply this: a godly leader is a person of the Word. The second point that we talked about is that as a leader, your first level of ministry starts at home. And then number 3, the temptation you have as a leader is to try to do everything, but don't, because you'll fail. Number 4, Jesus wants you, but he doesn't need you. You have to understand it's not about you, it's about him. Number 5, building relationships are important. Do it one person at a time. And then ask yourself in number 6, if people aren't following you, why? Number 7, give yourself time and space to grow. And number 8, seek a mentor. Find someone who will help you and you mentor others. Now let's look at number 9. Numbers are not everything, but they are important. Numbers, numbers, numbers. It's hard to ignore them, if not impossible. They are everywhere. People are always bragging about their numbers. I remember going to pastors' conferences and pastors talking about how many they had walk the aisle yesterday or whenever they had an invitation. Jesus warned the disciples not to rejoice in their own accomplishments. He wanted us to be careful that it wasn't about us. It was about him and what he did in us. We're talking about the kingdom of God. And numbers are important, but Jesus never said he would build a big church or a church with large numbers. He said he would build his church. And his church needs to focus on his ministry and his purpose for your ministry. But on the other hand, numbers actually help us some. Because we find a lot of times people who hate numbers have very little to do with numbers because they don't have any. Numbers have several benefits. They give direction. You can actually use numbers to set a goal. We're going to reach this many people. We're going to reach this type of result in the life of our church. We're going to do this many projects. Numbers do give direction. They also provide motivation. Because when you succeed in your numbers, people get excited about that. Look what has been accomplished. Because numbers also reveal results. Number 10 is an important element in a great godly leader. And it's the one I want to spend most of our time on today. And that is this: great character trumps great ability. I've known pastors with great ability who did not have integrity or character in ministry. Because that's why I save this for last, because it's the most important. It's foundational. I want you to know it doesn't matter where you've come from, what school you've been to, what you've read or what you haven't read, what skills you have, what abilities you produce. If you are not a person of integrity, they're not important at all. Jesus wants us to focus on our character and let our character be like him. This is the one thing God asked of Solomon. He said in 2 Kings chapter 9, verses 4 and 5, "If you will walk before me as your father David walked, in integrity of heart and uprightness, doing according to all that I have commanded you, and will keep my statutes and my ordinances, then I will establish the throne of your kingdom over Israel forever, just as I promised to your father David, saying, you shall not lack a man on the throne of Israel." My wife and I attend a church led by a man of great character. His integrity is seen in the work he does at church, in the way he honors his wife, in the way he shows his love for his son. He is an awesome pastor, preacher, family man, and man of God. You know why I think that? It's very simple. Because when it comes to greatness, character trumps ability every single time. We've covered a lot of subjects in these video blogs on Batter Up. We've talked about them. I've mentioned them to you time and time and time again. To be a great and godly leader, you must be a person of the Word. To be a great leader, you must be a person who whose first level of ministry is at home. You don't try to do everything yourself. You remember that Jesus wants you, but he doesn't need you. And that relationships are everything. Build them carefully, one step at a time. And if people aren't following you, ask yourself why. Look over your shoulder, see who's following. It's important. Number 7, give yourself time and space to grow and develop. Seek out a mentor. Don't get caught up in the numbers. Great character trumps great ability. These are important qualities in the life of a great and godly leader. See you next time.